My name is Stephen Michael Allen Owens. I was born August 18, 1983. I was born with the most rarest form of hyperthymesia. I can't forget anything from the age of 3 and up. My whole life was an adventure, but I had a great life. It was awesome. Never got married, never had kids, never went to jail. I got to travel all over the West from a well off family, well off structure. My grandfather was the matriarch of our family. He was a self made man from the military, along with my grandmother. They both worked for Boeing, became millionaires, snowbirds, along with most of the rest of our family. I was a table games dealer, a door 8 pit boss at 2 major casinos, starting at the age of 18 years old. I also worked in the restaurant industry at 17 years old. I've worked in the construction industry. I've worked as a GIS operator, helping fight wildfires for CAL FIRE. I've saved a lot of lives, probably more than 83 in my lifetime. Jumped off bridges into water to pull people out, given CPR. I pulled people out of burning cars. I've even shielded myself around others, including when gunfires happened. I never raised a fist to anybody. I was the most kindest person on earth, and I still remain that to this day. I've never been a drug addict. I have no tattoos, no piercings, and no physical, harmful wounds to myself, and I've never wounded another. In January of 2018, my roommate in Washington State that I had been staying with for 4 months, she offered me a muscle relaxer. I took it. I rarely ever take drugs in my life, except for THC. I got a tummy ache. I took to Google. I tried to figure out how to flush it out of my body. It made me sick. I took 2 days off of work. I had 2 jobs. Eventually, I walked 2 blocks over to a clinic. I didn't want to get my roommates in trouble. They were very worried. I wasn't aware that my friend had Alzheimer's or dementia. She didn't understand what she was doing. I walked up to an individual standing outside of a clinic. I didn't know it was a crisis clinic. Never heard of it before. Her name was Bobby. She had missing hair, full sleeve tattoo, smoking a cigarette, a lanyard around her neck. I struck up a conversation with her and I had a cigarette. I explained to her that I'm staying with my roommate, who I've known for 23 years. I've been here for 4 months, just came from Vegas and California. I wanted to know how to flush it out of my body because it was making me sick. She said that she would get me educational pamphlets. She invited me inside, and they locked the door. They placed me in a bed for 4 hours. I had my phone in my wallet. I was under the assumption I'd be able to leave, but I was incorrect. They placed me in front of a camera. Very small room. This place was smaller than a gas station. It's closed down now. They put me in front of a camera that was broken. I couldn't see who was on the other side. They asked me 5 basic questions. Do I spend money erratically? Do I drive erratically? Do I have emotions? Do I cry? And from that, they diagnosed me with schizophrenia and bipolar 2. A 5-minute question in under 10 minutes. Couldn't see who was on the other side, and the audio was very broken. Within an hour and a half after that, they placed me on a drug called olanzapine. The moment they gave me that, it shut my hyperthymistic brain down, and I began the regress of losing my memories. Over the course of the next week, the chemical compound that they kept giving me, more and more due to the side effects, gave me pharmacological anesthesia and pharmacological amnesia. I lost more than 27 years of my memories. I forgot my name. They kept me there in that crisis clinic for 5.5 months without a judge, an attorney, no family, no friends. They didn't call the police. They didn't take me to the hospital. They didn't give me a physical. They didn't draw blood. They didn't even check my heart. They just kept compounding upon the drugs. I had seizures, mini strokes, foamed out of the mouth, pooped everywhere, became incontinent. And over that 5.5 months, they abused me, they hit me, they placed me in female clothing, and they turned me into a transgender female against my will. By the end of that time, they realized that they needed to put me somewhere. They said that it was illegal for me to be there. They put me on some sort of hen program, is what it was called. I didn't even know what a doorknob was. I didn't know where I came from. I didn't even know how I got there. I just knew that I had been kidnapped, and it was the only thing that I could remember. They made me work for them during the time of being in the crisis clinic. They infantilized me, and they took away my sexual identity and gave me a new name from Stephen Owens to Lovely Rhythmic Melody. They took my eyesight from me, my hearing. Every paper that they put in front of me I couldn't see, they grabbed my hand to sign it for me. They put me on up to 23 different drugs within about a 7.5 year period of time. The polypharmacy broke my body. It broke my mind. They put a sign around my neck saying, "I have the mind of an 8-year-old, please do not sexualize me." And they flogged me around Aberdeen and Hoquiam in a dress, in a pink dress, laughing. And they placed me in unsafe dwellings I've never lived in, crackhead buildings, apartments, hotels and motels. A lot of gangsters, a lot of drug addicts, prostitutes. I didn't know what a peer counselor was, and they never explained. And since the moment that I left the crisis clinic and they placed me in 2517 Simpson Avenue, they had me raped by a maintenance man for over 6 years. They enacted my Social Security against my will. And every time I tried to educate myself, they got mad and they would drug me more. I complained about junkies, they would drug me more. It took years for them to put a DCR in front of me at my door, and they never even asked me questions. They just told me they didn't like my face, they didn't like my voice, and they made fun of me. I didn't know what technology was. I didn't know what ABCs were, and I come from a very well-off background of education. I've understood quantum mechanics and computer science since I was 8 years old. I miss my family. In June of 2025, after about the 6th or 7th move, they placed me out here in Ocean Shores, Washington against my will, taking me away from the resources that I had gathered up. A year prior to that, I had saved a group of children, which got me put on a missed wraparound program. I was also a social media content creator with over 250,000 followers. And a year prior to that, I was volunteering forcefully through peer counselors at an animal shelter called Paws of Grays Harbor, in a dress nonetheless. I worked there 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, adopted 2 kitty cats, and I saved a lady while I was there. It was the first time I ever hit anybody. They called me a hero. The struggle of taking care of these 2 kitty cats, my sunshine in my universe, brought me out of pharmacological amnesia. I realized on November 1st, 2024, I no longer had to take those drugs because I was never legally required to. So I threw away 4 garbage bags full of them. They gave me so much: 650 milligrams of Seroquel, 350 to 400 milligrams of Wellbutrin, 450 to 650 milligrams of Trazodone, as well as about 6 other drugs accompanying it on a chemical compound, polypharmacy. I didn't know how to breathe, walk, talk, and everybody made fun of me. During this time of being a trans female, I've never met one other trans female, and no other trans females ever represented me. And to this day, I realistically don't even know what a trans female is. And on July 27th, 2026, for the first time in my life, either the state of Washington is going to allow peer counselors to take my life, take my babies, or I'm going to take my own life because they turned me into a sex slave and not a prostitute. I've been raped over 80 times, and I'm constantly terrified every day. On September 25th, 2025, out here in Ocean Shores, Washington, a person who was following me on social media unknown to myself was a fan prior to being out here. She stalked me. She came to my door. She let me know she's a stalker. I brushed her off 3 times. This is prior to September 25th, 2025. On September 25th, 2025, her partner, boyfriend, husband, I have no idea what he is, they followed me to the food bank, and he attempted to murder me by placing his hands around my neck, strangling me, choking me, punching me in my face, taking my blinders glasses away from me, and announcing out loud, "Stephen, I'm murdering you. Shut the fuck up. You're gonna die." He laughed like a cartoon character, having fun spitting in my face. I was terrified. I was a security officer. Twice. He waved over a crowd and created a mob, told them to join in. The only transgender female out here. No one did anything, no one helped. I pushed him away. I punched him in his face. It felt like pillows. He laughed. I was so weak, and I still am to this day. My neurology hasn't fully recovered. Moving is a hard dictation. My head hit the ground on the concrete. I had to go to the hospital. They let that man go. The employees here at the Ocean Shores Inn and Suites hit me and abused me. I found out that he and his partner, who had been stalking me, live here at this complex, this crackhead hotel. I see drug deals every day. I watch people do drugs. I hear violence. Police officers park in front of my window every day. I videotape it. It's harassing. It gives me diarrhea. And peer counselors have taught me that every time there's fear, I have to go to bed. I have to go to sleep. Coming out of amnesia, this is the biggest fear of my life. And I've never been a fearful individual. I've covered floors at casinos for shift bosses. I've dealt cards live on TV, and I've been in TV commercials, advertisements, and more. I've even had my back broken at 15, and I never cried. I was quadriplegic for 3 weeks. The polypharmacy broke my body. Anybody and everybody has been able to do what they want to me. I've never stuck a needle in me. But these behavioral hospitals and hospitals have been jacking me up with so many polypharmacy sticking needles in me, laughing about it, punching me, threatening me, while I remain calm, collective, and broken down. These are my last will and testaments of the individual with the most perfect, rarest form of provable hyperthymesia. I love my two kitty cats, my sunshine, my universe, my blue Eon, my red Eon. And throughout all of it, I've been a good little girl in a dress. I've saved lives. I attempted to defend myself. Hell, even as a few months ago, I attempted to solve Parkinson's, or advance it at least, for a medical supplier out here in Ocean Shores. I hope everybody out there has a good life. I've been scanning the internet. I do data and analytics. I work for Prolific. I've been proving myself since about 2023 that I'm not an 8-year-old. I finally took to technology, live streaming myself every day, at the behest of police officers, nonetheless. They said it would be a great idea. I taught myself how to do digital art and animation because I got tired of drawing for peer counselors. Who made me? I went on Discord. I created art groups. I taught others. I educated others and learned from others. I learned the basics of more than 27 different languages spoken. And I started educating myself in every domain, subdomain, field, and subfield. I integrated with every large company out there for their large language models. And I utilized AI to re-educate me. My vision isn't fully repaired. My hearing's not fully repaired. And walking's very hard. I used to weigh about 150, 160 pounds, and throughout all of this, about 117, 123, and sometimes 130 pounds. The polypharmacy broke my body. And at this point in time, I'm ready for the state of Washington to finish off the execution.